Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Making an Impact podcast with my special guest, John Franco. John, say what's up to everybody. And just so I can kind of give you guys a little description, a little background on John, I met John back in like 2011. So I've known him for about 12 years, and he's followed me. I've followed him. I've been following him on his journey, on his fitness journey for, again, well over a decade now. And when I first reached out to John, again, I needed a little bit of help from a weight standpoint. You know what I mean? Fast forward now. He's a father, husband, owner of a gym, entrepreneur in the Ventura area, in particularly Oxnard. Owns his own boot camp, right, John? You own your own boot camp
Yes.
gym, as well as you train a lot of people online. So we're kind of going to get into all that. But obviously, what I'd like to get into also is the fact that you started at what I think is at a little bit of an older age, right? You were 38 when you started your fitness journey. You don't look, you're 50, 50, 51, 52 years old right now. You don't look your age, my man. You look much younger. But we're going
Thank
to
you.
talk about all that. So welcome, John. So let's get started. So again, I met you in 2011, if I remember correctly. I think I reached out to
Yes.
you and I said, "Hey, I need a little bit of help because I'm a little pudgy around certain areas of my body, my cheeks, my waistline, and things like that." And I think we worked together for several months, and I know for a fact that I was able to go from 230 pounds at that time, and I leaned out to 205. And obviously, I was younger then. I'm 45 now. I must have been 33, 34 years old when I did this. Um, but it was a change in a lot of different things initially. Number one, it was a change in my habits. But you were able to help me through all that. So I'm going to ask you, John, what did you do, or what made you get started at an age that most people, I don't want to say are looking at retirement, but are already kind of like already are settled in with their career. What made you start fitness at the young age of 38?
So for me, it was funny. I was in the mortgage business for a very long time. Went through a lot of cycles. I've been a broker since '98. And in 2008, when the mortgage meltdown hit, I basically, at that point, a stage of my life, I was losing everything. I'm overweight. My little girl's 3 months old at the time, and I'm in an apartment that I can't afford, getting ready to move back home with my parents at 38. And we're sitting in an apartment. My ex-wife at the time had left, and she just left with my little girl. So as my little girl's crawling around at the apartment and I'm playing with her, I'm gasping for air. And I said, oh no, I just had this epiphany. If I don't change, something bad's going to happen. I literally saw my daughter's life grow before my eyes, and I wasn't in it, and it freaked me out. I was in Santa Clarita at the time, so I grabbed Kennedy, took her to the 24-hour fitness, got a membership, came home, and I'm sitting at home going, okay, I got a key card to this gym. Now what do I do? I played football to 27, but I didn't know how to transform a physique. What do I do now? So from there, I was watching. I wouldn't go anywhere. I had no confidence. I just felt like crap, lost everything. I looked like crap, and I was watching this Nutrisystem. I was watching General Hospital through the commercial. It was a Nutrisystem commercial. I said for $350, $346, buy a box of food, you lose 30 pounds. So I said I had one credit card left for $350. So what do I got to lose, right? So I bought the box of food. I was religious with it for the first 30 days. I lost 30 pounds, but I looked down. I go, this is gross. I look better fat than I do right now with all this hanging skin. So pretty much that's how my fitness career got started at 38 years old, because I wanted to be around for my daughter. My daughter now is 15 years old. That's the epiphany that I saw, but I've been in her life now. I have a 5-year-old little boy today. So that's kind of how it originated.
Gotcha. So you started your transformation, or pretty much what you're doing now, because of an epiphany that you had, because of the way
Mm-hmm.
that you felt about yourself. And
Correct.
that's very commendable, because not a lot of people, number one, will act on that feeling, right? Maybe they'll act on it for a very, very short amount of time. Even the box of meals that you bought, on your credit card, you did go through the 30-day cycle, and you did lose some weight. But you said something that caught my attention. You said, I look better fat than what I did skinny because of my loose skin. And then that triggered something else, that triggered you to say, hey, I got to do something about it. And then that's when the weights and all that were introduced, correct?
Correct.
So,
Correct. So I had
so
always worked out. But good.
No, I was gonna say, so from there, what was the next step? What did you do after that? After the 30 days, again, you lose 30 pounds. So I would assume that from a confidence level, hey, I lost 30 pounds. I feel great. But it almost sounds like another epiphany happened for you, right? Where you said, okay, now I got to do something different. So now I can kind of gel all this together, right? So what was the next step for you?
So the next step, I was doing jujitsu at the time in Santa Clarita, at Dave Dunn's place in Santa Clarita, and then I started working out at the 24-hour fitness, and that's kind of how it just got started. Just doing my own thing, just working out, and then what I ended up doing is I knew I had lost the 30 pounds. I started working out, and as I progressively continued with the process, I started to look better, better, and better. So then, fast forward to like I think it was November of that year. I was down to like 208 or something like that. I'm looking okay, but now I want to act. So I ended up saving all my money. I hired the best trainer I could find at the time. His name was Tony Racanelli out of Florida. And then from there, it's when the whole competition lifestyle got started. He goes, look, you're a former athlete. Would you like to compete? They're coming out this new category called men's physique. I said, sure, why not? And that's how I ended up on stage in April of the next year. So it kind of evolved over itself as far as the fitness journey. And that's what led me into now working in the fitness industry, because prior to that, I was a VP at JP Morgan Chase. But yeah, it's an interesting transition.
So everything pretty much happened within about a year or so, right? Where again, you knew that you needed to change something. You lost some weight. You knew you needed to change something out. You bought a membership at a gym, and then you said something again that I think would resonate with everybody, is that you sought for help. You went to go search for help, and you hired somebody to help you, which was your coach, and that person helped mold you. Probably gave you eating plans. Probably told you eat this, eat that, lift this, rest here.
Yes.
Again, just a different discipline, right? You kind of had gotten started with it, but then that person added another layer of accountability, and it's through that
Correct.
accountability that allowed you to get on stage, which I would assume it's super nerve wracking. You got 100 people looking at you, hundreds of people looking at you, judging your body, which is one of the things that most people have a big fear on. But you got out there, and all this happened within a year time frame. But
Correct.
I guess what led you? What made you want to compete? Was it the coach that kind of like pushed you that way, or was it something that you wanted to do on your own?
No, I never even thought about competing. I had no idea. I was just doing my stuff. And when I hired Tony, it was more for, I want to have abs. I've never seen my abs. What do they actually look like, right? It just went from that. So I started with that. And the minute I got the abs, he goes, you know what? I know you're 38, but for you, you've never had it. It was going to be like a toy for you. You're never going to want to wear a shirt on again. Sure enough, that happened. And then from there is when he approached me. He goes, look, there's a new category coming out called men's physique in 2011. He goes, it's the very first time they're coming out with the category. Why don't you compete in it? And I said, hey, I'm an athlete. I mean, at 38, I felt like I was in my 20s. I said, sure, let's do it. That's kind of how it got started originally for the competition scene.
And as a result of getting a taste of having abs, competing on a scene, did that just trigger like a new life for you? Like, did that just lead into an adrenaline
Yes.
rush of wanting to do more?
So what happened from there, at that point, I was working at JP Morgan Chase. I was a VP at JP Morgan Chase. And my friend, Scott White at the time, he was the general manager at American Medical Response in Lancaster. And he calls me up, and I worked with Scott in 95, fresh out of Desert Storm. He was my ride along at the time. And he goes, look, I'm about to put a needle in my stomach. Come rescue me. I met him at 175 pounds. He's now 250 pounds. So I said, all right, Scott, I left work in Tarzana, drove all the way up to Lancaster, started him on his program. And within 90 days, he went from 250 to 190 and now in
Whoa.
shape, no more insulin. And he goes, look, it's amazing what you've done for me. I want to hire you on staff for the company. And now I have a little girl. That was my very first corporate job, by the way, because I've always been in mortgages. So I go, well, I'm going to leave this job to go do the unknown, and I had to think about it. But I was already dabbling in Chase and the fitness scene because all of my employees were constantly getting sick. And that's because when I started to inquire what was going on, because at the Chase World, I could fire off attendance, but it's very difficult to fire on performance. You have to have so much documentation to really get rid of somebody. But I had enough documentation to get rid of this one particular guy. So I went to my district manager. I go, look, he's really, really sick. He's honestly sick. He's not just calling in sick. And when I started to ask him questions, he goes, well, we live paycheck to paycheck. I eat top ramen. So I realized nutrition was a big issue. And that's kind of how when I went to Scott, I said, Scott proposed something to me. So he went to his Who's Who's, and they offered me a proposition to work with Lancaster, Santa Clarita, or Antelope Valley, Santa Clarita. So I ended up leaving Chase as a corporate job at Chase, following the passion that I had for fitness. And then one of the biggest things with American Medical Response, look, we're making an investment in you, but we're not seeing a monetary return. So how are we going to see if the program is working? So basically, what we did is everybody had to go get their biometric screenings done at Quest, and then in 30 days, they had to go redo it again. And the needle was moving drastically for all these guys. So I said, okay, the program's working. Unfortunately, a year later, they had budget cuts, and I was the first one to go. And now I'm at my parents' house in Woodland Hills, and I'm all, shoots, I don't have a job, and I got a little girl. What am I going to do? I went to work out at LA Fitness in Woodland Hills, and they had a sign that says, we're hiring. I got on my phone. I applied right away. Sure enough, they called me within minutes, and then they set me up with Lisa, who was the regional vice president for LA, continue my whole story, for LA Fitness. And so we're sitting in this interview. She looks at me, she goes, you're way overqualified for this position, right? And she goes, but I'll hire. She goes, you're way overhired. Why should I even hire you? I go, Lisa, because I'm effing hungry. I got a little girl to feed. I need to work. I don't care what it is. And so she hired me as just a sales guy at the Stevenson Ranch location. I outperformed everybody in 3 weeks. And within 3 weeks, they promoted me to general manager. So
wow,
now I'm the general manager, never working in fitness before. And that's kind of how it all got started. So I went from LA Fitness, 24. But the key thing of managing these gyms was that all they do is they sell you a membership, pack them out, but don't give you the tools to change. So I started to realize people are lasting 3 months, but nobody's changing. And what I just finished doing, nobody's doing. And then they have these kids that are personal trainers that just go get an 8-hour certificate, and they're expecting them to teach somebody without not any knowledge, right? So that's kind of how it started to birth in me the idea of, that's when I started the online coaching. Okay, it was relatively brand new back then. Nobody was doing it. So I started the remote coaching, and then that's when the idea came birth to, let's open up a gym.
What year did the idea of doing your own gym come into play?
2000, when I was at 24 Hour Fitness, 2015 is when the idea came around. Actually, 2016, and that's how long it was taking to really try to get something going. And LA County is a nightmare, so we didn't get anything going then. And then I was fortunate at the time that Ed Milet was actually mentoring me when I was opening the gym. This was before Ed was Ed, right? You can't get a hold of Ed now. But back then he was constantly mentoring me because for a time I worked with him at WFG. So he was mentoring me, giving me a lot of good insights. It was all about out here, right? And that's kind of how it started. So 2017, we were really ramping up. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And then Lord willing, in 2019, we got a location in Oxnard.
That's all, and again, as I've gotten to know you, John, again, from when we first met, and I think I messaged you on Facebook. I saw, again, I'm 33, 34 at the time. You were 38 or right around there. You know what I'm saying? And something about you there was like a natural pull that I had with you, again, because there's all sorts of messages that we get, and even more so now, right? Where social media is just, you're filled with gurus and experts here, and come over here because I'll show you how to do this. There was a natural kind of like, I don't want to use the word attraction, but for lack of better words, I reached out to you. I saw some changes, and some really good changes. You saw some changes in yourself, which led you to now find your passion, which is fitness. But more importantly than that, you helping other people reach their fitness goals. So you saw a void in the marketplace, in particularly these commercial gyms that sell memberships. And like you said, to your point, pack them out, but there's no results. Well, if you start talking to people and you start giving them the recipe and some accountability, they start seeing some changes. Hence, they continue. The longevity is there, right? And then just like any entrepreneur, you included, obviously, you said, hey, I want to do things on my own. And granted, yes, there was some issues and struggles with dealing with counties and whatnot, but the idea and the dream of opening up your own establishment came into fruition. I think you said it was 2019. So you've been in business for, roughly going into your fifth year now. I'm sure starting something new is nerve-wracking by itself. Obviously, there's a lot of time invested, there's a lot of money invested, and gyms are, if you look around, they're everywhere. What made your gym so popular that people went to you and quite frankly are still there? What is keeping people there? What are you selling over there? I guess is what the question is.
So at the end of the day, like I said, when my wife and I, Alicia, opened up Coliseum, it was purposely made opposite of a corporate gym. So we're actually a private facility, but we specialize in transforming people. So we cover the areas where the big gyms leave off. Yes, we have a beautiful gym, but aside from that, we're going to work with your nutrition, which is the primary driver of people transitioning. And then we have the accountability piece. Because people will start something, they get excited, and they lose their motivation, and off they go. So like with us, our success rate is 100%. And the reason why it's so high and the reason why no one's failed and we have full guarantees is because we're constantly on you. We're constantly monitoring. All of our clients have to check in with us. They got to send pictures of what they're eating before it goes in their mouth. We do weekly check-ins, bi-weekly biometric screening check-ins. So we're very hands-on with our clients. So that's the reputation we kind of built, is that they get results. So people come to us who've tried everything, nothing works, and then they come to us because we're going to really narrow it down to its finest entity. And then we started the gym. We opened our gym May of 2020, right in the middle of a pandemic when we were shut down. We were shut down before we even opened. So,
right, yeah.
And we're not a cheap gym by any means. We're a high ticket gym, right? Our average client will spend anywhere between $4,000 to $5,000 a year or $400 a month, which is opposite of a $20 gym. So
right.
When you start asking yourself, and then we have no contracts. So when people start to why you have no contracts, you're not forcing anybody to be here, you're way overpriced compared to everybody else. The difference is we get results. Like I have one client, I'll just share one client, for example. Her name is Martha. She only speaks Spanish. She's 60 years old. She started with us at 59, 4'8", 206 pounds, 62% body fat. She came to me February 9th. I sat her down. We're looking across. I go, look, Martha, because of where you're at, it's a liability to me to put you in a class, and it's a health risk for you to take a class. But I will change you if you follow my nutrition and if you do what I tell you to do and you walk on treadmill 1 hour a day, 7 days a week, she agreed to do it. I can actually share her picture, but she started at 206 pounds, 4'8", 62% body fat. She was the most obese person we've ever had, 200 pounds less than the heaviest person I have. So weight isn't always the issue. So that was February 9th. On right before Christmas, she did a scan at 154.
Wow.
She lost 53 pounds of pure body fat. And then when you look at her now, she's a night and day person. She actually got her life back at 60 years old. So that's kind of what we do. Whether you work out, don't work out, we're going to give you the truth. As you know, I don't sugarcoat anything. I tell the truth how it is. But yeah, that's just what we do for people in Oxnard. And then from there, we ended up scaling to Shredded University, which is a remote coaching. And primarily with that demographic, I primarily deal with 7-figure earners, entrepreneurs, because to your point, they're super busy. They know how to make money, but then they kind of neglect themselves. And that was what happened with me. I'd go to Hawaii, I'd go on a vacation, I'd have my laptop, I'd have my files. I was putting out fires all day long in real estate. That's when I woke up, I was 265 pounds. So I know that most entrepreneurs go through the same thing. They know how to make money, but where they lack is the discipline to apply that same thing to their lifestyle. Like I have a client named Jose Zavalza, makes 1.8 million. And I go, look, Jose, if you run your fitness like you run your base shop, because he's a founder with Patrick Bet-David at PHP. I go, if you run your fitness like you run your business, it's a game over. He went from 210 pounds with a gut out to here to fully shredded abs in 90 days, right on a trip to Bahamas.
Wow.
Last year.
Wow. A couple of key things that you said that caught my attention was you do a biometric. Is it a scan or is it a check? And can you tell us exactly what that is?
Yeah, so there's in the United States, the predominant body scan is what's called an in-body. Most everybody has that. We started with that. The challenge with the in-body is that it reads all of your metrics, your body fat mass, your muscle mass, and your overall body fat percentage, but it wasn't very accurate. So we invested in a better machine, what I thought anyway, called Seca out of the United Kingdom, out of London. And that machine's very accurate. So that machine is like, 12 grand, whatever. But you get on that machine, it's very accurate. So it starts to tell you where your muscle and body fat are. So at the end of the day, body fat, an overall body fat percentage is the difference between the muscle mass and the body fat. And we want more muscle mass than we do body fat mass.
Body fat,
Most people come in this way at times. So we have to slowly go this way. Muscle takes a long time to develop. The body fat's the easy stuff to come off, right? So when we make our guarantees is that we're going to take your body fat off as we're building the muscle over time. And then what separates us from other gyms is that our classes, at least at Coliseum, are all bodybuilding style classes. They're all intended to make add muscle tissue to your body, because the more muscle you have, the longer you're going to live, less heart problems you're going to have. And as a matter of fact, Dr. Gabriella Lyon, I just saw her thing where she said that people that can survive cancer are the ones that have the more lean muscle mass, because muscle mass can fight off cancer. So that's kind of where we focus. And like I said, we were just kind of going with what I had learned over my life, because I've been 15 years doing this now, and it's been a hit. And our average demographic at our gym is 40 to 60. That's the bulk. That's the meat of our clientele. So we deal with the more mature audience opposed to the younger kids, this and that. So yeah, it's we've been fortunate.
No, and it sounds like you've been blessed throughout the years, and again, you're just chasing your passion, which is super cool. And I think that's what, that's where you're making the impact. Number one is that you were able to identify and find your passion and then run with it. And granted, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges that you've had that we haven't even touched on. But because of you staying true to who you are and who you were created to be, not only are you looking, awesome, your wife looks awesome, but you're also changing the lives, like you said, to a demographic of people or an age range of people that, for the most part, they have slower metabolisms, to some degree, busier schedules, and find very little to no time to work out or like you said, invest in themselves. And that's awesome. One other thing that you said was, through this journey that you're doing, you started Coliseum as the name of your gym. You also identified an area where you could remotely coach, right? And that's the Shredded University that you were explaining. Are those clients that you have outside of the Oxnard and Ventura County area where you're at, or are these people nationwide? Are they around the country, around the world? Tell us exactly, I guess, why you started the online university. I know you mentioned that you wanted to scale, or that was an area where you can scale, but was there a moment in time where it was like the idea hit and then you just took off and ran with it?
Well, honestly, after the pandemic, it made gyms very difficult. Like we've been trying to get a second location, and everywhere we look, even though it's zoned for a gym, the landlords won't lend to a gym. So we got our lease before the pandemic. So now it's like we can't even scale the gym if we wanted to, because no one, at least in this area, is gonna lend. So we said, okay, where can we go to help more people? That's just not in our market, and that's where the remote coaching. Now with the remote coaching, we don't have a brick and mortar. I just literally work from my home. And so the majority of my clients are in the East Coast. So I have a lot of Texas, Detroit, I have Arizona, I have one in the UK, I have one in Italy. So we are worldwide, if you will. And that's just basically from people spreading the word. But a majority of my clients on the Shredded are East Coast clients.
Gotcha. And and that was going to be my next question, is how did you get those East Coast clients? But it sounds like it was a lot of, you got results, or you were able to help someone get their results. And as a result of that, they referred you to someone else, and they just happened to be living in the Midwest in Texas, or the East Coast, right?
Yes.
So where if, let's just say, if I were to go to you and I say, I need to lose weight, I want to maintain my muscle mass, what would be how would the first consultation go? Is there like a system that you follow, or is everything just pretty much individualized?
Everything's individual to the actual client. So what we do, whether it's at the gym or online, we'll have our initial goal setting meeting. What are your goals? What are you looking to do? How old you are? I get everything, all the facts from them. Primarily with the demographic that I deal with, they're on some kind of medication, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, you name it. Just to note this, that most of my clients within 4 to 6 weeks are off all their medications. Because at the end of the day, what's contributing to the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, all that stuff, diabetes, is the nutrition. So the first thing we're going to address is the nutrition. In my orientation or my goal set or my onboarding, which lasts about an hour after we sign you up, it's pre-scheduled, we're going to go over the workouts. How do you work out correctly? Because my demographic, again, is over 40 or 50 years old, we can't be lifting heavy weights because it's going to mess up our joints, right? So I teach everyone how to train slowly, controlled, less weight, tempo training, keeping the muscles under tension longer for the muscle fibers to grow. So we go over a full range of how to train correctly. Then we're going to implement a cardio schedule, how to do that correctly. I focus on the heart rate per the individual because everybody's target heart rate is different. And then the last thing we cover is the nutrition. That is the thing that I need you to understand how it works. I have 2 forms in which I'll do the nutrition. Most of my clients are not bodybuilders. Most of my clients need to do it very easy. When I work with someone like yourself, Jose, it's like, you know what? I know you're super busy. You have a family, you have kids, you have a wife, you have a job, you have a podcast. You're super busy. I cannot make your life any busier. I have to be able to implement a system that you can do that's just easy as part of what you do to get you the results that you want. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that you control, I control, anybody listening controls is what they put in their mouth.
Right.
So we are going to teach you how to eat by these are the foods that you can have, eat whatever you want off this list. We don't even weigh or measure food, eat whatever you want off this list, because the foods that we select, one, are whole raw foods. They're very dense and low calorie foods. So it would be almost impossible to overeat your basal metabolic rate to put on the body fat and get off my food if you strictly are consistent to the list. Most of my clients will do the list because it's a lot easier. Then I have the clients that want to do the macros. So then at that point, I'll customize everything to them. So I have 2 different ways that I go depending on the actual client. Which way do you prefer to go? And
so
it's got to be sensible and easy.
So it's really to the client's discretion
of that you coached.
So for me, I don't know, I've heard of macros and understanding your macros, and macros is really just your fats, your proteins, and I think your carbohydrates, right? Right. What if this was a consultation or an onboarding, and again, my goal was to lose 20 pounds, and again maintain my mass, and one thing that resonated with me very highly, John, that you said is, I'm 45, I lift heavy, just because I've always liked to lift heavy, right? But my left shoulder sometimes hurts and I'm uncomfortable. I can't sleep at night. And I know that I know that I'm 45. I have to listen to my body. So there's days that I can't work out just so that I don't have any pain in my shoulder. So someone like me, would you say lighten the load and increase intensity when you lift? And how would that even work? I mean, what does that mean? What would that mean?
So I have the same thing. This is my mobility. That's all the range I got on this shoulder. I have bone on bone, bone spurs, arthritis. I got everything on this shoulder. I'm actually been authorized to have a full reconstructive shoulder if I wanted to. I'm not going to go through the process because I'm still actively competing and I don't want to go through the rehab. So I have to find movements, which I would tell you, find movements, especially on the shoulders, that you can do. We're going to do the ones that don't put any extra pressure. If you can't do overheads, don't do overheads. So there's certain things you won't be able to do. But to your point, yes, lightweight, slow and controlled. Like I don't do any bench press because it puts a lot of strain on the shoulder. But if I were to bench, it's the tension or the control on the negative, the eccentric. That's what we're trying to focus on. So you're coming down really slow, controlling the weight. And when you're going up, you're flexing and squeezing, contracting that muscle. That's where the muscle grows. So you don't need heavy weight to grow the muscle. You need muscle under tension. So for you, we'd have to diagnose what is with your shoulder and what can you do versus what can't you do. Like there's movements I just can't do. I can't do dumbbell overhead press. I can't do that. So I won't do that. But there's other alternative movements we can utilize. There's a lot of machines we can utilize to get the same impact, to give you the form and the shape, whatever it is that you want, without causing any more damage to your shoulder.
Gotcha. So really it's the going down. So essentially if I normally work out and I'll put up, I guess people that know the lingo will understand, but if I'm able to lift 315 pounds and do a set of 10, what would be the ideal weight for me to concentrate on that downward motion? You said the eccentric, right?
Right.
What would be the ideal
Yeah.
weight for that?
So the weight is going to be dependent upon you. What I'm going to tell you is bring the weight down controlled for 3 to 4 seconds. So if you
Okay.
can get the 315 you were using and you can come down for 3 to 4 seconds controlled and obviously power it up, if you can do that for 10 good reps, then you're at your good weight. But
Ooh.
chances are you won't be able to do that much weight
Right.
controlled because normally when you're at that kind of weight, you're just kind of just slamming the thing up, right?
Yep.
So I would start with 135 controlled, just like a warm up controlled, and then slowly add weight until you're going to, and if 10 is your range, then slowly increase the weight until you're getting a good solid 10, basically to where you're one off your maximum. So it's called RIR, reps in reserve. So let's just say we go to 1 RIR, you're going to go until you get, let's say you can get 11, you stop at 10. But you're going to know at the weight slow and controlled because you're going to really feel that muscle. And the contraction and the pump and everything you're going to get, it's going to be something you've never had before because you're doing it very slow and very controlled.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had other fitness coaches and wellness coaches, in the last few years as well. Going into the nutrition side of things, it was very measured, and it was a lot of meals, throughout the day. Sometimes even like 5 to 6 meals, in a day. So it really caused number one, additional expenses for food because you go through food very, very quickly. When someone says eat X amount of grams of meat, it is a nice portion, but if you got to do that, 4 times a day, you're going to be going through food a lot. But you said something, you're like, I have a list and you can eat as much of it. I don't want to say as little of it, but you can eat as much of it that'll make you feel satisfied, right? That is the first time I've heard anything like that. Where did that come from? Is that something new? Is that just something that has been around for a long time, but just people don't really know about it? That was a mind blowing right there for me.
So what happens is if you go eat a Big Mac, for example, Big Mac's going to have somewhere between 1,500 calories. If I give you 1,500 calories of clean food, you're not even coming anywhere near it. It's too much food. So when I tell the client, eat whatever you want, literally they can't. And I'm just giving that as an analogy that they're never going to hit their basal metabolic rate. So they'll always be in a deficit from their basal metabolic rate because they can't eat that much food, right? So an example with you, like my clients, you're going to laugh at this, but my clients' average grocery bill is $50 a week to eat 5 times a day, 7 days a week. Now you're going to ask me how, right? So I got a client I just brought on yesterday he's from Texas. He was spending $1,400 a month just eating out twice a day, every day.
Wow.
I'm cutting his food bill down to $200 a month. But it's because when you do it correct, like you go buy a thing of chicken, and I'm going to give you a grocery shopping list, by the way. The key indicator to get into $50 a week, you have to buy foods like I tell you to buy. So people will go to the grocery store, they'll go around, they'll go inside, they'll buy all this stuff. Realistically, just buy exactly what you're there for, and you're going to spend $50 a week. So chicken, it's like you get 6 pounds of chicken for like $13-14, and that's going to last you about 2 weeks, portioned out. Right. So that's kind of how we break it down. So you understand. If I get a big thing of jasmine rice for $6, that's going to last you almost a month and a half. So you might be eating the same things, but you're going to be able to eat on a shoestring budget, get the results that you want. The average saying for my clients is you got me the bite that I want and you save you help my wallet. So we'll save you money at the end of the day.
At any point does produce that's organic or meats and poultry and that are organic play a role into this?
So at the end of the day, my answer, this is just my opinion, answer is no. Now, does the United States have the best source of foods? No, we probably have one of the crappiest sources of foods out there. So we have to select what's best out there. Now, do I believe in organic? No, I don't. Do I believe that Whole Foods has better foods than everybody else? No, they're going to spray that. I've seen too many documentaries, whereas like, why am I going to spend the extra money when at the end of the day, the regular one at Walmart is just as good? Because at the end of the day, they're both bad anyway. It's just the best of what's available to us, right? So that's but again, our body's a machine. It's designed to heal itself, right? Medication was not intended as a long-term permanent fix. It was supposed to be a temporary thing. But unfortunately, we're in a day and age where, I don't want to get too political with you guys, but it's a day and age where you go to a doctor, they don't want to tell you the answer. They want to give you a quick prescription to go to the drugstore. At the end of the day, big farmers will make all the money. That's how these guys stay afloat. So My goal is to do opposite of what they teach us here, because real medicine is exercise and nutrition. muscle is the root, but they want to treat obesity when obesity is the symptom of of lack of muscle, right? So now they're showing commercials where they'll prescribe you a drug to lose weight, right? So again, it's just, at the end of the day, if you eat whole raw foods, stay away from all the other stuff, you're going to be perfectly fine, and you're going to lose weight if that's your goal, right?
Yeah.
So so we get very in depth with the nutrition because we want people to understand. And once they start to see results, it's very hard for them to go back.
Yeah, I think it's understanding, and like, you know, to your point, you said you got to see the results. Once people get a little taste of that, oh my God, I not only do I look great, but I feel great also. It just continues to roll. So how do say you know, just because I'm sure that people in my audience are curious, if someone wanted to start with your Shredded University, what is the cost? What's the point of entry for something like that?
My average rate for Shredded University is $24.99 for a 12-week program. I offer actually the majority of the stuff that I offer to most everybody is I give them 2 weeks for free. So basically they can come aboard either a 2-week challenge or just try my program out for 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks for free. And if they want to stay on board, then obviously we go to $24.99. But when you look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's $2,400, $2,500 for 12 weeks. We actually have systems where we can break it down where it's affordable to people. So that's why people really don't have an issue doing our program, because one, we're going to get them the results that they want, and two, we can find the payment that's comfortable for them that works.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, people shouldn't look at this as a cost. You're investing into yourself, and what's more, you know, what's more effective to you? Do you want to live a healthy lifestyle where you feel great, you look great? Or do you want to live a lifestyle that you're dependent on medication and all this other garbage that's out there that is costing you your life? You know what I mean? And I think that's I dabble in, I shouldn't say I dabble, but that's where my field is in real estate coaching primarily. And, you know, our point of entry is X, your point of entry is X. And a lot of people, unfortunately, see it as an additional expense or a cost. But they don't look at it as an investment so that they can get more or feel better or all of the above, right? So I see that. I personally see that as a fair, you know, point of entry, because again, if you break that down, that's like $200 a week. You're going to save them money on the grocery list. They're probably spending that, if not more, on going out and groceries. So it pays for itself over the course of the 3 months that they're part of the program. And the cherry on top, they look amazing. So, exactly. What's the next step for you, John? I mean, you got the gym, you got the brick and mortar Coliseum that's doing fantastic. That's in Oxnard, California. You got the Shredded University that you're able to help people online worldwide. What's next for you? You have a 15-year-old, you have a 5-year-old, you have a beautiful wife. You're in the best shape of your life. What's next for you?
So honestly, right now, our goal, Alicia and our goal is to scale the online coaching, and then get to the point where the gym is self-sustainable on its own. The reason why it's not self-sustainable today is because the pandemic really hurt us, and we had to finance everything. And as you know, interest rates changed, all our special financing got added, so we never got a chance we should have been debt-free by this point, but because of that, we're still paying back everything that happened, right? Fortunately, we didn't close, but we had to float a lot of stuff. So right now the goal is to continue with the remote, because we can impact more people that way. Keep the gym up and open, because we're not too long where that can sustain itself. So that's the goal. Let the gym sustain itself, and then we'll continue ramping up the remote coaching, because there's a lot more people we can help nationwide.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I'll be reaching out to you myself, because like I said, you know, I'm not into the whole new year, new me thing. I just know that I'm at a point of my life where, you know, again, I'm 45. I'm not ashamed to say my age. For the most part, you know, I look decent for my age. Can I look better? Absolutely. So don't be surprised if I reach out to you, John, and don't be surprised that, you know, if 3-4 months go by and you guys don't recognize me on my own podcast, because I'll be shredded just like my man, John. So with that said, John, any final thoughts, any parting thoughts that you can give to the audience?
No, just before that, it's funny because when you're talking, it's like you were one of the first supporters of me when I started, and I remember your son having one of my hats back in the day. It was awesome. I think I sent you a picture not too long ago, but that was awesome. No, as far as your audience, Anybody can get in shape at any age. I think 8 guys that I brought in this year over 60 years old. So if you have an idea and you want to get in shape, you can. It's never too late because of age. I'm 52. The reason why I still actively compete is because I show the people that I can still run businesses and I can still do a very regimented nutrition schedule and still be able to compete. Now that's my own personal thing, because you're right. My wife's 34 years old. I got to stay in shape. 19 years older than her. But at the end of the day, anyone can get in shape if they follow the disciplines. For you have disciplines in your real estate practice and your coaching practice, certain disciplines you run, right? If
100%.
people can, and most people, believe it or not, say, I'm not disciplined, I don't have time. That honestly, if you really take true inventory, everyone has the time. I did a thing on my Instagram, 168 hours a week. Does The Rock, the busiest guy probably we all know, when he travels East Coast, West Coast, all over the world, he never misses a workout, never misses a meal, right? Because that's a choice he made. Kobe Bryant talked about always getting up early at 4 a.m, get things done before everybody else. So everyone's disciplined at what they want to be disciplined in. If they really, truly want to change their lifestyle, it's just a little bit of different habits and eliminating some stuff that doesn't work for them. That's pretty much all of it. It's very simple. I tell people it's easy to do what I'm going to ask you to do, but it's also easy not to do.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Let's give it up again to my good friend and my special guest, John Franco. Again, Coliseum. How do people get a hold of you, John, if they want to get if they want a consultation, if they want to just see what you got going on? How do people get a hold of you?
The easiest way is just go to my Instagram. It's at John Franco Fit. So JOHNFRANCO Fit. And then you can message me through there. I check all my messages there and I'll get back to you.
Sounds great. Thanks again, John, making a huge impact, not only in the Oxnard area, but worldwide. I'll see you soon. Take care, my man. God bless. Thanks for being here, my man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.